The salt water sprayed the deck. Everything was coated in a layer of white. Rubbing his hand over it, he felt the gritty surface. Up and down the ship rocked on the open ocean. The mage gripped the rails tightly. It was not out of habit, but for support. Bending over the side, the man vomited. Remnants of his scant lunch fell into the blue water where it vanished. This was hell for him. The mage was an adventurer. He had scoured the dragon-charred ruins of Xerxes, plumbed the depths of the Morgreen mines. He'd done most everything on land, but sea? This was his first time. Desert trash and landlubber, the crew had called him. Yeah, those were true, certainly, but they knew how powerful he was. It was him who thwarted the tavern brawl in the port. He could make any claim he wanted, but he was curled up at the side of the ship like an abandoned dog. Rolling over, he watched the crew. Like monkeys, they swung among the ropes. The footing was sure and quick. They were as skilled as any ranger or assassin he had ever worked with. The mage had to give it to them. They were sure of their work. Standing at the helm was their captain. His grey beard was tossed about by the wind like a girl teasing him. He bellowed his commands and the crew responded. The whole ship was as finely tuned as a clock. Leaning over the railing, the mage braced himself once more. A ripple of water drew his eye. Was something there? Nah, he must have imagined it. The ship came to an abrupt stop and the mage was thrown to the deck. Did we strike a reef? No, Captain. Before anyone else could speak, the ship was knocked about once more. A moment later, something long and slender slithered up the side. It was red like the fresh blood and covered in small spines. Relatively. Relatively being the key word, for each of them was as large as a man's leg. Kraken! The call went up through the ship. Every man went right to action. Harpoons and swords were handed out. Below deck, the crew readied the cannons. The mage looked about nervously. What was he supposed to do? He had heard of them at the Magical Academy, but even the most studious caster, who never left the library, knew no amount of studying would prepare you for the actual thing. Think, fool. This was his time to prove that he was worth his pay. A tentacle burst forth from the water and swung at the mage. Was it intended, or just by chance? Regardless, the caster was sent flying, not just from the deck, but also from the ship. He fell into the icy water. Instantly, it stole his breath, and the mage froze up. His billowing robes were waterlogged and difficult to move. He was sinking to the black depths below. Beneath him, the mage saw the full size of the Kraken. It was twice the size of their ship. His body was surrounded by tentacles. Each of them were thicker than a castle wall. At the center of it all was a mouth like a raptor's beak. It opened and closed as it eyed the prey with eyes the size of a man. The mage choked on water as the depth of their situation sank in. Ooh, this could turn south very quickly. Hello, and welcome back to Mythical Phylogenies. I'm your guide, Jason Diogos. Please, stay for a bit, aspiring inventors, and let's see what sort of creature the Kraken really is. There are many strange and bizarre creatures that live beneath the waves. You have the sea cucumber, which can vomit up their own guts. There are entire ecosystems that live in utter darkness and have never seen light. And there are carnivorous sponges. Oh, the sea is as alien as you can get on the earth. Of all animals, the mollusks are the strangest of all. They range from snails, clams, and squids. Yep, every one of them is a mollusk. Thankfully, we only need to look at the squids and octopus to understand the Kraken. It is a creature which occurs in Norse mythology and is described as a massive squid. They have a head area covered by a structure called a mantle, with 8 arms and 2 tentacles. I'll be using tentacle and arm interchangeably here for simplicity's sake. The largest known squid on the earth is the colossal squid, part of the family called Krakendae. It can weigh up to 1,000 pounds and is 46 feet long. Now, how big is the Kraken? Let's look at naval ships to compare them to. A galleon-class ship clocks around 500 tons and the largest are over 2,000. They're around 150 feet in length and 50 feet wide. So if a Kraken is the size of a ship, let's take the average size. So it'd be about the same 150 feet length. That's pretty big, but that's just the Kraken's body, and the tentacles are an additional length, so it's going to be even longer. Now let's take a closer look at those tentacles, shall we? What do you think they look like? You're probably thinking it will have the suction cups like the octopi or most squids. They look a little terrifying, right? Sorry, they don't have nothing on what the colossal squid has. It's got hooks. Nasty, aren't they? So why do colossal squids have them but not others? They look nothing like the regular sized squid suckers. So what gives? Why the change up? Bigger predators prey on bigger food, and it usually means more powerful predators hunting them as well. For the colossal squid having those sharp attachments, it means getting hold of its prey or its predators. You can just look at the scars on some sperm whales. For the same reason, I would suggest the colossal squid have those same barbed tentacles. So what will it prey on it? Other sea monsters, sea serpents, sea dragons, thunderbirds, giant whales and turtles the size of islands. Yeah, those may prey on the Kraken. The greatest challenge a Kraken will face will be maintaining its food source. A creature that large, it's going to need a lot of food. There's no way around it. So what can it do? It can go after whales and other sea creatures. It will have to. The largest creature in the ocean on Earth is the blue whale, and it only eats krill, but it has a very specialized mouth that allows it to filter feed, extracting the tiny organisms from the water. But the Krakens don't have that. They have a beak, just like most squids, so they will have to hunt. With such a size, it will be inevitable that they may turn to cannibalism. A dark thought indeed. It would also explain why they attack ships. A ship is such a large thing that surely must be full of food, correct? Well, no. It is fairly hollow, as the Kraken will find out, with only the crew to eat. So once it sinks the ship, it will pick off the crew. So how will a Kraken protect itself? Well, most squids are known for their ink spray. Produce enough to hide something the size of a ship, you're going to need a lot of ink, or maybe another trick. What else do regular squids do? They change color to hide? Pretend to be a rock near the ocean floor? Yeah, there are ways to make it work, but it's much more difficult with a larger target. What if it had another option in battle? Ever hear of a pistol shrimp, or seen an orca create waves to knock seals off ice floes? They can create wave patterns to knock animals around in the ocean. Could a Kraken do the same? With those long tentacles, it probably is possible. My battles against the Krakens have been very limited, to be sure, unfortunately. But I wouldn't put them past them. Most cephalopods are known for their great intelligence. They are known to escape enclosures and use coconuts as shells, with a dozen other such occurrences. It wouldn't surprise me that they would learn such a skill. Oh, this is bad. How do you fight the Kraken? I would call this an uphill battle, but it's coming from below. Just imagine, you are trapped on a tiny boat, miles from shore. There is nowhere to escape. As far as the eye can see, there is just water. You're just sitting and waiting for the predator to strike. This is what it's like to face the Kraken. It rises up from the ocean depths, wraps your ship up in its tentacles, before it drags it down beneath the waves, where you can barely fight and you can't breathe. This is a bad situation. How do you fight that? Prepare. Have your ship ready for battle as soon as you set out to sea. The Kraken will need a surface to grab hold of. Coat your ship in a foul alchemical solution to the touch. It may drive it off from the start. You could also apply some sharp edges to your ship. But metal blades would rust, so you'll need to use stone or enchanted wood. You want to avoid this fight. Seriously, you need to avoid it. As soon as you begin, you are in trouble. Do everything you can to deter the Kraken's first attack. And someone didn't listen, right? And now it attacks. First will come waves and tentacles. While you can't cut into the tentacles, it's just going to be a paper cut. Yeah, a sword and harpoon are too small to be of any real threat to such a massive creature. unless you can reach a vital spot, like the eyes and heart, which are below your ship. So what are you going to do? First, let's handle the tentacles and try to scare it off. While swords and harpoons won't cause enough trauma, a cannon will definitely do the job. How many cannons do you have? Oh, get more. And some gunpowder. Krakens live in the depths of the ocean, a place that is cold and wet. The exact opposite of fire. Use magic, gunpowder, and alchemy to spread flames over the tentacles. This is your greatest weapon. Burn the beast back into the abyss. Then fill yourselves with wind and take off. Sadly, for someone, that has failed, and now you have only angered the beast. Injured, it still pursues you. Well, now you've got to go for the body, the heart and brain. They are underwater and unlikely to come to the surface. Swinging a sword underwater is difficult and slow. The long blade will still create a lot of resistance. Harpoons and spears are best, though. Thrusting weapons will move through the water smoothly. But you'll need something bigger to get deeper into that Kraken's body. The mast of your ship is one option. It is a high-risk gamble against death. Your choice here. Yet the Kraken's home offers you the greatest weapon you could wield against it. Call down the thunder. The ocean is heavy with salt, and it's the perfect conductor for electricity. Be warned though, you are also in the water in danger of electrocution, unless you happen to find a safe spot that's very well insulated. Oh, wait a second. Wood is an excellent insulator, and hopefully your ship has plenty of it still. Oh, this could be a blast. Yeah, that's how you do it. A Kraken is no joke. You are fighting in a tight area against a much bigger and stronger foe. If that wasn't bad enough, you are fighting on its domain, in its trap. Yeah, you've got the deck stacked against you. Depending on if you prepared your ship and got the right weapons on board, that is the key to survival here. This won't be easy. That is why I have to give the Kraken a 9 out of 10. Good luck. So, fried squid anyone? Oh, the recipe's available here. We got fried calamari, squid stew, stuffed squid, grilled squid, squid with garlic and butter, squid pasta. Oh, you can throw it in a stir fry, ramen. Hey, you could run a full restaurant on just squid, but a Kraken? How big is that? Oh, you've got tons of fresh squid once you get it back to shore. Oh, that isn't as easy as it sounds though. The Kraken is too big to fit on your ship without sinking it. So you'll probably need to drag it behind your ship and taunt sharks and scavengers. They'll chew on your prize and reduce it, but you can scare them off, or you can harvest them as well. Your choice here. The mage's lungs burrowed. He had to get to the surface, but his robes were dragging him down. He couldn't swim up. But he was a mage. Through his magic, he chilled and froze the water beneath him. A sudden ice block lifted him to the surface, sucking breath after breath of sweet, salty air. But he didn't have time to savor the moment. The tentacles had fully ensnared the ship. It was being dragged to the depths below. There wasn't much time. An explosion like thunder rocked the seas as columns of white smoke billowed from the sides of the ship. A roar bubbled up from the depths as the tentacles recoiled and went back beneath the waves. It was a short reprieve. Waving to the deck, he called a rope from one of the crew members. No sooner than the mage had stepped back on deck was the captain barking orders at him. Aye, the mage accepted. His robes were soaking wet and chilling him. He went straight to work, turning his gaze to the white sails he unleashed a spell, and it turned a gentle breeze into a full-on squall. The winds blew and filled the sails as the ship rushed forward, anything to put distance between them and that beast. The ship rocked abruptly as the Kraken returned. Its tentacles were bleeding and scorched. It was still good for another round. "Buy me a minute," the mage asked, and the crew delivered. They had not been idle while they had been fleeing. With small barrels of gunpowder, they flung them into the air. Each smoked with a small fuse until, boom! Fire ripped over the tentacles once more. But these were barely an annoyance to the injured and angered monster. Still, it bought time, just what the mage needed. Magic crackled over the mage. Lightning. His hand stung, but he held it together until he unleashed it into the ocean. Lightning danced over the surface and illuminated the body below. The great beast twisted and contorted. Holding it, the mage kept up his spell. Until every ounce of his magical power was spent, he kept channeling. Dropping on the deck, he watched the massive figure go limp and still. Cheers rolled through the ship, but the mage wasn't having any of it. Any adrenaline he had was spent, and nausea struck once more, confining him to the edge of the ship. Thank you for watching Aspiring Adventures. This is truly a terrible foe. Thankfully, it is confined only to the oceans. Our next foe won't be. For next time, our path shall take us to the forest where dwell the tree folks. Until then, stay safe, young adventurers.